What's going on, all you wild clone troopers? It's your favorite Padawans back here. I'm Emperor Logan Myerz, my good mate over there.
Luke Skywalker.
Luke! Welcome back to this galaxy. We're about to get wild. And hey, Henry, I can actually see you tonight, so it's good to see your beautiful face. First time in about 2 years that I've seen your
I
face.
know, yeah, it's been a while. I've been in the shadows, but I'm slowly coming out into the light now. I got this nice little ring light to light my face. So yeah, so if anybody's looking for a good podcasting or Zoom meeting light, you're not really well lit in your room, well, just hop on Amazon and search for it then, and you'll see this for $23. Looks like a circle, a donut.
With Zoomies, you'll enjoy Mother Nature up close.
It plugs into the USB port, and you can change it to like soft light, a couple different shades, and yep. And there's a little volume button and power button. You can change it.
And at the checkout, if you use the coupon Getting Lit with the Fellas, you'll get 1% off your total purchase.
You'll get harassed by one of us.
Guaranteed. So we've been talking The Bad Batch. We've been having a great time with the series. Just premiered on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. We're going into episode 3 that just premiered on Friday night called Replacements. Had a really great time with this. This is probably the darkest episode to date. It got a little horror on us, which I absolutely love since we love the horror genre. It went to some dark places here, but Replacements, we still have the wild uncles embarking on this journey, and they have the little Omega, which is like the fifth member of the band, hanging out with them, and she becomes a part of the crew actually in this episode. Really fantastic. They get kicked out of light speed and they end up crashing the ship on the moon, and then that's when the horror aspect of the episode shows up pretty early on, which is awesome.
I really dug this episode. I got to say, this was my favorite so far of the season. I know we got basically a movie for the first episode and the second episode, but yeah, this one's been my favorite so far, and it had a lot to do with the horror, like you mentioned, the horror aspect of it, or the more scary stuff and real stuff, kind of some of the same kind of real world consequences like we saw in Falcon and Winter Soldier, but here there's some dark stuff being dealt with as well in this world that's already been created with the Clone Wars now coming over to the Bad Batch. And yeah, this episode was awesome for me. I had a great time with it. I liked how they amped the suspense up in this one. It felt like the stakes were higher, so that's why I was more into this.
And it reminded me much of like horror sci-fi, like Alien or something, with this creature. They notice like these claw marks that are on the side of the ship. They're like, oh, that wasn't there before. But I guess their whole goal is going out to find this power capacitor so they can revamp the ship and get out of there, essentially. But they start noticing a lot of weird stuff going on with this alien-like creature, and it's really cool. And it also reminded me of Jurassic Park, like with the scene with the window. Like you kind of see the creature.
It did to me too. Yeah, the claw marks and that scene with the window, for sure.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing.
A lot of cool callbacks, but it's really dark and eerie for a Disney show, especially a kid's show. So I really appreciated that with the crew, our favorite uncles being the Bad Batch and Omega, trying to survive and try to get this, capacitor to, get out of the situation. Meanwhile, over in Alderaan, you have a group of really bad guys that come across some familiar faces. They're looking for Saw Gerrera, and they come across some characters that we're familiar with from the last episode. And there's this one main bad guy that you can probably figure out who it is. But he does some really messed up things, like some things I didn't just like expect out of this, and they went really dark in that aspect too. Like a really bad guy, being part of the Empire now, like really not doing great things to innocent people.
I knew that he was going to go more towards that side, obviously, with everything happening with him, but I didn't expect it to go this crazy. And what they did with those, the basically the super stormtroopers. He's leading out these new recruits, basically these kind of super soldiers, if you will, for the Empire. And he has to make they have to make a decision on whether or not to do something really horrible. And kind of the new guy, the new leader in training, so to speak, that's seemed like he was going to be one of the newer faces and leaders. Something crazy happens there with him trying to be more, respect the morals. He's trying to follow orders, but not to the point where it's going to, lead to death and just like slaughtering innocent people. So yeah, that was another very dark aspect of this show, which
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting. But like I said, it ups the stakes. It feels like they're moving towards something, not just like, oh, maybe we'll get to find out Omega is actually like it's actually something that felt like there was some danger there. And with Saw Gerrera too, in that world, we know him now from Rogue One a lot, or at least that's how I know him more. But yeah, it felt like there was some danger there, and yeah, I was happy with the episode. Liked how it went there. I wasn't expecting it, but I like how they're willing to go more adult oriented as well in the show. It's obvious.
And then, speaking of that bad guy that shows up, we find out obviously it's Crosshair. From the first episode, he was part of the Bad Batch and having to do with inhibitor chip and the Empire now. He's with the bad guys essentially. And then what he does to these characters is unbelievable. But so he's leading this life of the Empire where the Bad Batch is getting away from it. So, it's different in that aspect of the good and the bad, again, in Star Wars. But you have Omega joining the crew, the Bad Batch, and then you have the bad side of Crosshair being part of the Empire and trying to get rid of all the clones. Essentially, this is more for like human soldiers, setting up for what we know in the movies.
I really like where they're going with Crosshair. He's obviously going against what the Bad Batch are doing, more in line with the Empire. And like you mentioned, this episode also showed us more to do with Hunter and Omega and their relationship. And it was cool to see this little side mission with just the two of them and kind of the tables turning where Hunter needed help this time and Omega had to kind of be there and rescue him in a scene. And I liked the outcome of that. And I thought it was pretty clever how they played that story. Yeah, I'm starting to think that Omega is definitely going to be somebody greater in this universe to come. She's going to grow into be, a big character. It seems like it's a new character. We don't know who it is, but maybe she's a relation to somebody. But I like what they're doing with this character. It's cool. It's like a kid, but she's willing to take risks and stuff. So, that we're going to see her grow up and see these kind of things. And it's going to be interesting to see how her arc goes on this these episodes, these 17 episodes.
Yeah, as the episodes go on, you can tell she's a pivotal part of this group now. She's one of them. Even, Wrecker made a room for her on the ship, which is like kind of a really great part of the episode, is showing their friendship and other family now. They're much like the uncles of her or the dad or whatever. They have a great relationship.
They're fully invested in her now. They've kind of adopted her in as one of their own, and now they're responsible for her. And, that was a nice gesture to make her own room and everything. Now she feels like she's a part of them too. Things they encounter coming forward here, they've already been through a couple harrowing situations together. So
yeah,
be interesting to see where it goes from here.
And this is definitely a more adult oriented episode, adult tone compared to a kid's tone in the first two episodes. The second episode was more of like backstory and character development. This is definitely focused on adults, more of like an R rating because it's super dark at times and having people die. And also, the aspect with, alien creature, this beast that's on this planet, trying to kill them as well. So I really love that. This is probably the best episode thus far, next to the first episode. It's really setting up the characters. I like the way the characters are getting written. It's getting better. I feel like I'm getting more invested in the characters as well. And I'm interested to see how and what happens to Crosshair.
I've been really happy with where it's going to. Like I said, I had a little trouble adjusting, getting to know everybody in the first two. But now in this third episode where it's focusing in on just this group, I'm starting to know everybody's name. I know like how they work, how each one are different and kind of work together with the others to be this nice, this Bad Batch, so to say, and how they're interacting with Omega and taking her in as their own. Yeah, I'm happy with where it's going. This was my favorite episode thus far. So now I feel like, okay, we're rocking here. I can't wait to see where it goes now that I am familiar with everybody and like, now I can focus on where we're at. Whereas in the beginning, I was trying to I know it came from all this backstory with the Clone Wars and everything. So it's like, I'm trying to catch up and find out where we're at in the timeline. Now where we're at in the show in this third episode, I feel like we can just focus in right now, right here, and see where things go and see how Crosshair is going to move on through the ranks of the Empire and see what happens with his character, because we obviously don't know. This is all new. So I'm interested to see what Dave Filoni and company have in store for us in these future episodes.
Well, we know what happens to Grand Moff Tarkin, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens to Crosshair. I really appreciate it. I think it was the most well-written episode yet. I thought the script was great, the way they wrote the characters, how dark it was and scary at times. Really appreciated that. And this is, episode 3, Replacements. I would probably give it a 4 out of 5 Dave Filoni hair pieces.
I really enjoyed this. This was a 4.5 out of 5 Bad Batch hair pieces.
So with that being said, we had a really great time with the 3rd episode titled Replacements. We'll be back again reviewing the next episode 4, next week. Really having a great time with the show and having a great time catching up with you, my good mate here, Uncle Henry.
Yeah, this is fun. We don't really talk about this before we get on these, so it's cool seeing what you thought of the episode as well, and seeing like how similar our thoughts were, where they differed, what you're seeing as a bigger Star Wars fan than me, and seeing what I missed and catching up. So yeah, it was good. I'm glad you liked this episode too. I really dug it.
Absolutely. It made me want more. I went by super quick. I think it's 30 something minutes long. So it's pretty quick.
It's pretty short. Yeah.
I'm I want to watch that again, but definitely one of my favorites. Plenty more episodes. I think there's 13 or 14 more left in this season. So we'll be back pretty frequently talking about the Bad Batch and sharing our thoughts. We want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think of the show, Bad Batch? What's your favorite episode? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Let us know below. And don't forget to hit
subscribe. So we're signing out from a galaxy far, far away here and lit in the hills and Cinephellas Studios. Well, Uncle Steve's calling. I got to go grab him another beer out and take it out to the shed.
Okay,
until next time. Cheers.